Hi, thanks so much. I'm really glad, Cornelia, that you addressed that we were in a sense of transcendence and overwhelm in the most positive, wonderful way from hearing your music, and especially all of the grounded and deeply riveting and sad stories of the Shoah that are just in it. And I just want to thank you for giving us such a rich experience. My question is one that's very different, though. I found that I'm an opera singer, and I found that I had an experience singing Wagner recently, and afterwards, it was something so powerful because of my Jewish friend who's also a conductor, Aaron Sherber. He talked about how he had such a push and pull. He loved Wagner's music when he was growing up, but he knew exactly what an anti-Semite he was. And he knew, and when I was preparing for the role, I talked with Aaron a lot. And anyway, my question is, you have this deep, rich history connected to sadness, and it definitely, as I hear it, it informs your work. But as artists, how do we use that and not be overwhelmed by it? What is the structure that you're able to put around that? And so it can be useful to all of us, but not overwhelming personally. Thanks for letting me ask that.
Susan, beautiful. When Mozart was very ill, he wrote the Requiem. We know this if you've seen Amadeus. But right before that, he wrote the 39th, 40th, and 41st symphonies, his best symphonies, in 6 weeks, all three. He was having financial issues. And remember, he was a father with a wife and 2 little kids. He was having real issues and taking care of them. He was stressed out of his mind. And he writes these pieces, which are just, creme de la creme, ethereal, beautiful, aesthetically perfect pieces, right? Your personal story, your existing situation, your future situation, whatever it is one part of you. But depending upon the subject matter of what you're doing, the subject matter is what's important, not necessarily what you're going through. So I would say that when I wrote this piece, it took 20 years to face up to the fact that I had a responsibility to do it, but I did it with all my talent and skill. Listen, I've written other works, many other works, which have very different qualities. And you can hear all of these things. A lot of them are recorded. I am blessed with great recordings on Spotify and YouTube and so forth. So please go and take a look and a listen. My piano concerto is called Archangel, and it was a viral recording. It was Stephen Beck, again, the pianist with the BBC National Orchestra of Wales, recorded right before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, it took off. It did really, really well as far as radio stations playing it. And radio became the hottest thing because everybody was home. And voices, and the Archangel was played all over the world. Now, Archangel is in 2 movements, lasting a half an hour, 15 and 15. It's about, and it's derived from Paradise Lost of John Milton, in which he describes in incredible language the colossal fight that went on before the universe was created, between Satan, who was thrown out of heaven, and the archangel who came down from heaven to protect heaven from Satan and the demons. Good versus evil. The second half of Archangel is about Adam and Eve and Eden, from which we're all derived. And the archangel pushing them out into the world we live in because of the eating of the apple, which was given to her in the story, an amazing story in the Bible, by Satan in the form of a serpent. Now, why that piece? Well, the thing that I am most obsessed about is good versus evil. And I think anybody of spirituality or not spirituality has to be worried about and think about. So all of my work, when I was in the hospital, COVID, you get to think about these things. Am I going to the great unknown. You know, I call it the great composer's room, if I'm so lucky, you know. Play billiards with Mozart. He beat me every time. But I thought of, you know, and I thought of, you know, where have I been? Where am I going? And the thought for any artist has to be why. Where, why, and when. Not just I'm showing off because I've got this great voice or I can really play like a virtuoso. That wasn't what was driving Otto Rubinstein and Lenny and driving Louis Armstrong and Stan Kenton and those guys and all gals, you know, Alicia de la Rocha, people that I grew up with. Wasn't driving them, Nadia Boulanger. What was driving them was exactly what I'm talking about, the aesthetic of, and it's in the best of our religions, the opposition of what we need to do through love in making this world a better place. I thought of one thing which I want to throw out to you, which I think is truly indicative of art making. When you're in a death spiral, as I was with, I had COVID throughout my lungs and kidney failure. I read this later in the medical reports. Somehow I got through. I was thinking, of course, there's good and evil things. Where have I been? Where am I going? This is what I was thinking about. I got to write The Slave when I get out of here, you know, my opera. And I thought about reducing things from their highest level all the way down. And reducing things was health. Health was overriding. Health of the planet, health of all living and inanimate things, health of the ocean, health of the soil, health of the plants, health of everyone. If you use health and you work down, human rights is right there. Economic rights are right there. Religious rights are right there. Religion used to help us understand and to amplify the best parts of us. The best parts of us. And to make sure that we make the world Eden for all of us. We can only make Eden, place of Eden, if we conquer climate issues, which are for real, guys. They really are. And they affect everything. It's health, 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 health. And if you take health and work it down, it's everything. It's all the spiritual things that we were about. It's all the things, Susan, you're asking about of creativity, because creativity comes from health and the ability to physically and emotionally and mentally do what Mozart did with those 3 symphonies in 6 weeks, or me in 7 months with voices. Same thing.